Now I would like to show you how I shape the neck opening and how I make the neck on a sweater where I at the same time make a raglan decrease. So I will show you how I do to shape the neck opening and continue the raglan decrease at the same time, how I pick up all the neck stitches and knit the neck itself. So I have made some preparations before beginning to shape the neck opening, and I have, first of all, here I have the end of my round. So this is where I am at right now, and I have cut my working yarn, and I have the last round I knitted was the one without decreases. So the next round I knit, I will do another set of raglan decrease. And the reason why I have stopped after doing the round with no decrease is that because when I shape the neck opening, I will knit back and forward. And the first round I knit will be facing the right side. And I want to do my decreasing while facing the right side, because I find that easier. And I would like to make this as easy as possible. And then when I purl back, I don't need to worry about decreasing. So that's the reason why. I have also, this is my front piece, and here I have the decreases in each side. I have also counted stitches from each side and to the mid front, and I have found my 11 mid front stitches, and I have placed a marker on each side of those, and these are my first neck opening stitches. And I could just count while I knit, but this is when I do this beforehand, I don't have to remember as much, and I don't make as many mistakes. So these are the stitches in the middle front. I have 11. Check the pattern you are following for what number you should have. Many times the pattern states these should be cast off, and that's okay, you could do that, but I will just place them onto a stitch holder. But anyway, to make sure that I get all my raglan decreases on from the right side of my knit work, I will not begin to knit here from the beginning of my round, because then I have the decreases here, and then when I purl back I would this will end up being on a different round than the other decreases, so I will have half decreases from the purl side and half of the decreases from the knit side, and that's too much for me to remember. So what I will do is that I will just slip all the stitches over to my right needle and just move my way towards the middle front stitches. And when I get there, instead of getting my yarn and begin to knit and cast off these stitches, which you could if you prefer to cast them off, you just attach your working yarn here and you begin to cast off these stitches. That's okay. What I like to do is to just, I can remove this marker now, I find a stitch holder, or in this case a small circular needle, and I just place these stitches onto that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they can just sit there for a while. And I remove my other marker. And now I will find my yarn and I will attach it by sewing it to the wrong side. And when I have done so, I will get back to you with how I continue. And now I have attached my working yarn and I'm ready to begin shaping the neck opening. I'm going to cast off the first 3 stitches and then I begin by knitting 2 stitches. I take the first stitch I knitted, the one on the right, and I slip it over the second and off the needle. So now I have cast off 1. I knit 1 more, stitch on the right, I slip it over and off the needle, I have cast off 2 and 3, and then I can just continue to knit, and here I stop when I have 2 stitches left before the middle stitches of my raglan decrease. And I will make a slip, slip, knit, decrease here. I slip, slip, needle in from the left, and knit. I knit the 2 middle stitches, and on the decrease on the left side of the middle stitches, I bring my needle through from the left and I knit the 2 stitches together, and I continue like this throughout this row, and when I arrive here at the end I will get back to you with the next step. Now I have arrived here at the end of my row, and I will simply turn my work to the wrong side and I will cast off 3 stitches from the wrong side, and I begin by slipping the first stitch and then I purl 1 stitch, then I take the stitch on the right side and I slip it over and off the needle. Now I have cast off 1 and I purl another 1 and I just, no, I didn't get all the yarn, and I just repeat. Now I have cast off 2 stitches, I purl 1 more, pick up the right stitch and slip it over the left one. Now I have cast off 3 stitches. And then I can just begin to purl my way throughout the whole round. No decreasing on this from the purl side, so I will simply purl the whole way. And when I get here, I will turn again to the right side and I will make 2 decreases. I will cast off 2 stitches and I will do my raglan decreases. And I will go back and forward and repeat this operation until I have cast off the stitches that I need to shape my neck opening. How many stitches will be stated in the pattern you are following. I will do 3, 2, 1, 1. So when I am finished with all my casting off to shape the neck opening, I will get back to you on how I pick up stitches and knit the neck itself. And now I have done all my casting off here in the sides, and I have finished the shaping of the neck opening. And you can see here is the back piece, and here I have the front piece, and you can see that has now a slightly different shape. So here I have the middle front stitches that I placed onto my stitch holder, and here all my cast off stitches from when I was going back and forward to shape the neck opening. And after I finished here after the last round of casting off, I knitted back from here, and I am now here with my working yarn. And the reason why I did so is to be able to start right away here by picking up stitches along this line here where I cast off for the neck opening. And I have found a new shorter circular needle. It is half a size thinner than the one I have used on the body and sleeves. And I will begin here to knit all the stitches onto my new needle. And I will begin by picking up stitches along here, and then I will knit these stitches onto my new needle, pick up new stitches here, and then I will knit all of these stitches onto this needle as well. And I will first find my working yarn here, and I'll just hold it as I usually do, and I'll begin to pick up the stitches, and I will not stick my needle through here because you can see that this hole will be too big, and if I stick it through the stitch where I cast off, that will also pull my knit work and make a hole. So I choose the stitch that is inside of those, because here my knit work is firmer and I won't create holes if I pick up stitches through the second stitch from the edge. So I will simply stick my needle through, pick up the yarn, and bring my yarn through the stitch. So it is like knitting a knit stitch, only I knit through the garment itself. So I simply stick my needle through, and I go as close to the edge as possible without going through somewhere that has a big hole. Here, instead of sticking my needle through this one, I would go in the next stitch. and I'll continue until I reach the middle front stitches, which I placed on my stitch holder. If I had cast off these as well, I would just continue to pick up stitches the way I do now. Instead, now I will simply knit these stitches over onto my new circular needle. And when I have finished doing so, I need to pick up stitches from this side the same way I did here, and I will try to pick up the same number of stitches here. So I will just do my best to find good places to pick up the stitches, and then I'll count afterwards to see if I need to go back and do it again, or if it is good enough, or if I just need to add or take away one stitch. And when I have finished picking up these stitches, I will continue to knit all the stitches from the back piece onto this needle, and when I arrive here back at the beginning of my round and I have gathered all the neck stitches on this needle, I will get back to you on how I knit the neck itself. Now I have gathered all my stitches for the neck onto my new circular needle, and I am at the beginning of my round, and now I will begin to knit the neck itself. And this neck will have knit 1, purl 1 ribbing, and then I just begin and I knit 1 and purl 1, and I repeat, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and so on. And I will continue this way until I reach the end of my round, and I have not counted my stitches, so I don't know if I have an even number. So what I will do is that I just keep knitting my knit purl ribbing, and when I reach the end here I will see if I get knit purl, knit purl, knit purl all the way, which is good, which means I have an even number of stitches, or if I get 2 purl stitches or 2 knit stitches here at the end. And if I do, I simply make 1 stitch or knit 2 together to fix it. So the important thing is that I end up with an even number of stitches, because it is 1 knit stitch and 1 purl stitch, which I repeat all the way. So I need to have a stitch number in total here that can be divided by 2. But when I do a neck like this, I rarely bother to count the stitches before I begin. But you can do it, of course. Now I'm just lazy. I fix it when I get here to the end. Add 1 or take 1 away. And when I have checked that I have an even stitch number, I will continue to, in the next rounds, to purl over purl stitches and knit over knit stitches, so that I get a ribbing like this. And when my neck has the length that I am looking for, I will get back to you with the cast off. Now I'm finished knitting the ribbing on the neck. So it looks like this. The next step is to cast off. So I will locate the beginning of my round and I will just cast off all the stitches. And when I do, I keep following the knit and purl pattern here. So I knit over knit stitches and purl over purl stitches when I cast off. So I begin by knitting the first stitch and then purling the second. Then I pick up the first stitch and I slip it over the second and off the needle. I knit the next stitch, pick up the stitch on the right, slip it over and off the needle. Now I have cast off 2 stitches. And then I purl, pick up the stitch on the right, slip over and off the needle. 3 stitches. And I will continue this way throughout this round until I am left with only 1 stitch. It will look like this, that I have only 1 stitch left. And then I will cut the yarn and I will simply pull the yarn end through like this. And I will leave a generous yarn length yarn end, probably something like this, because when I am finished casting off, I will fold this neck double and I will stitch it to the wrong side here. Another thing I want to think about is that I do not cast off too tight. I keep the stitches loose all the way, because then my cast off will be a bit elastic. Because I would like to, when I fold this double, I would like this part here to be a little stretchy so that it is easy to pull the sweater over the head when taking it on and off. So, and that's it really. I will now keep going until there are no stitches left, and at the end I will just stitch this edge loosely to the join here between the ribbing and the sweater itself. So thank you for watching, and I hope this was useful to someone. Have a nice day.